Hello everyone, welcome to SPAC Chat. I'm Karen Snow, head of East Coast listings here at Nasdaq, and it's my great pleasure to be speaking with Martin Werner, co-founder and partner at DD3 Capital Partners. DD3's SPAC business is solely focused on Latin American targets, and their completed merger with Betaware is one of the most successful business combinations ever. In addition to that, DD3 has an announced business combination in the works with Codere Online and another SPAC on file to be listed on Nasdaq. Martin, congratulations and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Karen, and nice to be here.
So why don't we start by you telling us a little bit about your background and how you came to found DD3?
Sure. I started my career in the Mexican Treasury, in the Ministry of Finance, doing debt management for many years. I was there during the famous tequila crisis. And after my time in the government, which I really liked, I joined Goldman Sachs. I worked at Goldman for 16 years. I was the head of the Mexico office, co-head of investment banking for Latin America. And it was there at the end of my career when a colleague of mine, Jorge Combe, started to discuss with me the idea of doing something more entrepreneurial. So we decided to leave Goldman at the end of 2016 and found DD3 Capital Partners to do advisory, credit funds, and special opportunities. And it's really been a fun run so far.
And how did you get the idea to get into the SPAC business?
In fact, the early bird guys, who are the guys who invented the SPACs, they came to Mexico in early 2018, actually around March, April, and we met with them. And when we learned about the product, I never heard of it. We thought that time was pre the boom of SPACs, 2018. So we loved the idea and we decided to try and do a small one. So we met with them in March, April, and in October, we're going public with SPAC number 1. So we really loved the product. We thought it was excellent. And it was really, really good for Mexico and Latin America.
That's great. So outside of the fact that DD3 is solely focused on Latin America, what is it about DD3 that's really different from other sponsors?
I think that, especially in the Mexican market, because we're based in Mexico, the big international banks that are here, like, Goldman or Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, they focus really on the multi-billion-dollar deals, the bigger companies, but there's really a big space, companies with enterprise value between $250 million and $1 billion that is really not well covered. So we really, focus on that space. And we focus there with our credit funds, with special opportunity situations, and with advice. So we're talking to entrepreneurs, fund management, business people all the time about potential deals, and there's a lack of capital in Mexico, no? So that creates the natural environment for a SPAC sponsor, because what you want is to have a lot of deal flow and look at a lot of opportunities to really pick the ones that can really work in a market like Nasdaq.
Mm-hmm. And how do you frame the pros and cons for targets that are dual tracking, thinking about the IPO versus the business combination?
I think the biggest difference between a traditional IPO and the SPAC way is the certainty that the SPAC process gives you. And I think that uncertainty is particularly important for companies in countries like Mexico, where the local stock market is really not well suited for high growth emerging companies. And I think that in that case, going to Nasdaq is the right way. I think that if you go to Nasdaq in a traditional IPO, the uncertainty of the roadshow, the response of investors, the final pricing day, I think is probably too much. And with the SPAC product, you can have certainty of execution and also certainty of pricing. I mean, you can build a pipe, you bring investors, you work on the deal, and once you announce it, the deal is de-risked significantly with the SPAC compared to a traditional IPO. So I think that the SPAC has many advantages, and I think that they're really well suited for markets like Mexico or other markets in Latin America.
Yeah, it's a great point. And from your perspective, what made Betaware a really great target?
I will tell you really 3 things. First is the team, second, the growth, and third is the cash flows. The first one, I think that, both Luis Campos and Andres Campos, chairman and CEO of the company, are like excellent people. Fantastic business guys, really focused on the business. Luis developed the business for 20 years. Andres is running the business day to day right now. They're super focused. I mean, so it's an amazing team. Second, I think, is the growth. Betaware had been growing at 20-30% per year for the last 10 years. With COVID and the fact that people were more at home, needed more organizational goods, women wanted to work, it was an ideal environment for Betaware. Growth picked up to like 100%. but the company still has a lot of growth potential, and that's what the market wants, growth companies. And the third point is cash flows, because Betaware doesn't need a lot of CapEx to grow. They invest in technology, but compared to the money they make, is not a lot. So they have great cash flows. They can pay excellent dividends. The dividend grows every year. So the company has the best of both, cash flows and growth, which is pretty amazing.
And what do you think are the most important factors that a target should be thinking about when evaluating a sponsor?
I think that when you pick a sponsor, you're really picking a long-term partner, and you're picking a long-term partner to go public. So the objectives of why you want to be public are crucial, and you need to be really well aligned with your sponsor on why you're going to go public. And then the sponsor can really help you in becoming a successful public company, because that's the challenge. So I think that, for example, in the case of Betaware, it has worked great. I mean, we're very involved with the company. We're long-term holders. We talk to them every week. And that's the same way we expect to be with Codere Online. We expect to be long-term holders. We expect to be very involved with the company. We already are now in the de-SPACing process, but that's the way it works for us, and that's the way we commit to our targets.
So given your track record and experience in the SPAC space, any general advice for those navigating the current market conditions?
I think that what we're seeing in the SPAC world is that SPACs have gone from being a niche product before 2019, 2020, to being a standard product in the toolkit to go public. And I think that in that process, we probably saw some kind of, a hype around the fourth quarter of last year and the first quarter of this year. And that hype, produced maybe an excess supply of SPACs. And that is something that is like cleaning up in the next, 6-12 months. So right now there were too many SPACs, and especially in markets like the US, like fortunately in our market, there aren't that many SPACs. So we don't compete with other SPACs. But in the US, there are like 400 SPACs looking for companies, and I think that maybe the ideal number is not 400; it's probably more than half that number, no? And I think that what you probably will see is that the SPAC product will never go back to be a niche product. It will become part of the standard toolkit. But probably the number of sponsors and SPACs is not going to be as big as it is today. And you'll have some specialization in certain verticals, like people doing SPACs in biotech, in fintech. And what we want to be at DD3, we want to be one of the key sponsors in the vertical of Latin American deals.
Thank you so much for your time, and best wishes for your continued success. And that's it for SPAC Chat. See you next time.